astronauts are spending extra time at the International Space Station as NASA and Boeing troubleshoot capsule problems that popped up on the way there. The veteran astronauts expected to stay for a week or so at the space station during a test flight of Boeing's new Starliner capsule.
508-822-1106, yes.
The return has been put on hold while the thruster trouble and helium leaks are analyzed. On Friday, NASA said there's no rush to bring the astronauts home and more tests on the ground would be done first. Keith Peters reporting.
Democrats also have a major problem, and most are admitting it. Following his dismal performance in Thursday's debate, party leaders are wondering what to do about President Biden and he begins to step down. Also at townhall.com.
Actually, the first segment might be the best time to actually do the weather in Today in Histories, because that's only going to be about a 10-minute segment. We're splitting the show a little differently because I have to do a news at 7:30 now going forward. So we're splitting the show a little differently here.
Well, do some of your Today in Histories at the beginning and some at the end. Just split it up. You know? Just don't leave that for dead, though.
I'm not gonna. I don't. I don't know what your issue is.
No, I mean, like,
I don't leave my guests for dead.
All right.
I don't.
And
we have our guest here, and we'll say good morning. Is this Danny?
Good morning.
Hi, Danny. How are you doing?
Hey, morning, Danny. How you? How you doing, Danny?
Good. I can just barely hear you guys.
Let me see if I can fix that.
That's better.
Yeah.
Oh boy, how you doing? Good. Good morning, Danny.
Right.
Hey, Danny. I had some brainstorms after we had breakfast and of what would work. I think as far as but I was wondering. We're on Facebook now. I don't want to blab it all over Facebook, but after we talk or whatever, is it all right if I call you later and explain what my ideas?
Sure.
All right. Good. I thought it out. You know, so I think I got a good plan. If you think you like it, then I'll start scouting it out. I do want to start scouting it out and then saying I don't want to go there. You know.
Oh, sounds good.
So all right. Bit hot down there?
Yeah, it's very hot, but we've had an absolute avalanche of rain in the past 36 hours here.
Oh, really?
Got almost 6 inches of rain here at my house since Friday night. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Jeez.
But it all runs into the bay, so it's not a problem around here.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, we've had a little rain off and on. June's been a pretty good month over here. A little humid, but nice though, not bad. You know.
Yeah, it's been pretty warm here in the mid-90s most every day.
Yeah, well, it's the season. You're in Florida, but
that's what I tell everybody. Everybody says, it's really hot. I said, it's summer in Florida, you know?
Yeah.
It's happened for several thousand years.
Yeah, you've been living in Florida your whole life. I think you got to figure it out. But come January, when we're all freezing up here, you're living life. So, I mean, that's your trade-off right there.
I know. Every place has got its advantages.
When's the last time you shoveled snow? Have you ever shoveled snow?
Never. I've never been in snow deep enough to shovel except for a couple of times on vacation.
Oh, okay. Some vacation, huh? Yeah, you don't miss anything shoveling snow. It's really terrible.
That's a lot of work.
Oh, it's terrible. It's just such a waste of time. You know, especially Maine had early April. Maine had like 2.5 feet up in Augusta way. A friend of mine lives in a town called.
There were blizzards across there this year, didn't you?
Not really up there though. Not here. Not on this side. Not in Massachusetts. I've lucked out in the last 3 years delivering oil. It hasn't really been that bad because, it's pretty dicey getting an oil truck around trying to deliver oil in the snow and stuff. There's ways you got to do everything. You got to all the long driveways and everything. It's just something you gotta hit noon
Do
time.
not express the views of WDBF ownership.
All right, about 1 minute.
Hometown Talk Radio. Content aired on all programs are those of the host and their guests. Hey, Joey, what's happening? I mean, what's happening in Middleboro and surrounding towns? It's time for the Middleboro Week in Review with your host, Joey Driscoll. Stay tuned for news, Middleboro news, here on AM 1530 WVBF. Hey, Joey, what's happening?
And good morning and welcome to Middleboro in Review. I'm going to say good morning to Dawn. Good morning, Dawn. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Joey.
As I try to fix my headphones. Oh, boy. And we're also going to say good morning to our guest this morning, Danny Harmon of the Distant Signal YouTube channel. Good morning, Danny.
Good morning, Joey. How are you?
Great. So we're going to start right off the bat and ask you what's been going on with the Distant Signal YouTube channel since we last spoke a few months ago. I believe it was in February.
Yeah, it was Super Bowl, actually.
Super Bowl Sunday, yes.
Wow. Has it been that long? Wow. Still kind of chilly back there. Not chilly no more. Not in Florida. I've been doing a few things. I don't know if you saw my last video. I kind of did a little swing through Polk County and just kind of checked out what was going on there. Replacing an overpass over I-4, and I did a little video on that, and that kind of stuff. But I just finished a trip with a friend of mine. He called me up. It was a meet up, and actually it was from Folkestone back in April. And he said, I would love to take a swing through southeast Georgia and check out some of the short line action there. And I said, I am right now. I am really interested in the old Central of Georgia Railroad, which was you guys up there probably have never heard of that, but it was a really important road all over the state of Georgia. It was I guess what they would call a regional line now, but it had lines all over the state of Georgia. Passenger service from Savannah to Macon to Atlanta and Columbus. And a lot of those lines still exist. They're all Norfolk Southern or short lines now. So we took a little 2.5-day trip up there last weekend. We started from his house in Jacksonville on Friday morning, and we drove up to a little town called Sandersville. In Sandersville, Georgia, I'm sure you guys have never heard of that either up there. It's up there I don't even know where to tell you it is. It's in from the South Carolina border, about 40 miles near Augusta up there. But they are the kaolin capital of the world. Now, what is kaolin? That is a mineral that's kind of a white, chalky stuff, and it's used for everything you can imagine, from the coatings on slick magazine paper to medicines to treatments for gastric troubles just all kinds of stuff. It's an amazing thing. And one family controls most of the mining of this stuff up there. It has for over 120 years. And they have their own little railroad up there, the Sandersville Railroad. It's about 9 miles worth of track, and it's the most beautiful little short line you've ever seen. It looks like a Class 1 railroad. I mean, if you didn't know where you were, you'd think you were on the Union Pacific Transcon up there at this little short line. 136-pound rail, which, in case your viewers don't know, that's the really big stuff that they use on main lines. And these guys are so serious about this. And anyway, this little strip of Georgia that runs from Macon out towards Savannah. It's called the fall line. They call it the fall line, and it's the seam of this kaolin mineral. And we just found a lot of little railroad, byproducts, for lack of a better word, of support industries for moving this stuff, moving the processed, the finished product, and that kind of stuff. We just had a really nice day. And we went to Savannah and spent a day there looking over the port. Port of Savannah is the third busiest port in the United States, and they have really expanded that. So, anyway, I'm working on that video now. I shot an awful lot of video over those 2.5 days. I'm trying to get that done. I had hopes of posting it by 7 or 8 o'clock tonight. That doesn't look like it's going to happen, but I guess miracles do come true sometimes, but you never know.
Well, I hope so. I'm looking for something to watch tonight, Danny. Hey, you're talking about shorelines. I know you did that video on the Brunswick connection on that 35-mile track, that connection. Now, that short line on its own, headed out to Brunswick itself, does they still run that? I mean, do they still run that all the way out to Brunswick, Georgia?
Yeah, that's actually CSX's, they call it the Brunswick subdivision, and it runs from Waycross, Georgia, there at their big yard, all the way out to Brunswick, and that's what they have one train a day out, where they carry empties out to Brunswick, and then one train a day back, and primarily it's automobiles. They carry auto racks out there and back. And Brunswick, Georgia is a port there on the Atlantic Ocean, and they bring in an awful lot of automotive traffic through that port. Foreign cars, and I guess, stuff from other, port city auto manufacturers in the United States, but primarily foreign stuff comes in there. And since Baltimore, had that problem with the bridge back in, what was that, April?
Yeah, I think so.
That forced a lot of, Baltimore is a huge automotive port up there. That moved a lot of those guys had to find other places to ship out of there for a few weeks, and Brunswick was one of them. And they've been running a lot of traffic, both the CSX and the Norfolk Southern. They've been running a lot of auto rack trains out of Brunswick. Yeah,
that's what I was going to ask you. Have you seen increases of traffic on the rails between, the two ports or whatnot? I mean,
I personally haven't seen it, but I have been told that the trains are bigger coming out of there. So I know there has been an increase in the traffic.
They still have the issues with what they call it, the pre-scheduled railroad railroading. Or I think I'm saying it wrong, but there was talk about the trains were so long that these passenger tracks weren't getting it done. And did they iron those bugs out already?
That very controversial way of operating is called precision scheduled railroading, and I don't know if he invented it, but the late Hunter Harrison championed that business model of running a railroad, and basically it was called precision scheduled railroading, but it really had more to do with the size of trains, running gigantic trains, fewer larger trains instead of the usual amount of, relatively shorter trains. On most railroads in the United States, you've got they're single track, with passing sidings. And those passing sidings traditionally, in the old days, back 30s, 40s, 50s, into the 60s, those passing sidings were really rarely more than about 6,000 feet long, a little over a mile. Or you get a 2-mile-long train, those aren't going to fit. So when you put a train that big out there on the railroad, a 10,000-foot train or longer, that's what the dispatchers call king of the road. And you've got to run him until he gets all the way to his destination, or nobody can go the other way out there. So it's Dispatchers don't like it. Crews don't like it. Obviously, there's fewer trains, and the train handling is much more difficult. And I think that, and I'm just speaking from just what I've heard and read in bits and pieces here, so I'm no expert on the subject, but I think precision scheduled railroading is starting to fall out of favor with the big railroads, because I've noted on TSX, just in the territory that I rail fan here in Central Florida, that the trains are shorter and more numerous again, kind of back to the old way of running, at least in that aspect. An 8,000-foot train is much more, you're much more likely to see a few of those instead of that single, 10, 12, 13,000-foot train that we've been seeing for the past 4 or 5 years here. So just because of the difficulty of those darn things, moving a train that size, where you have the locomotives up there pulling, and of course with the distributed power, which is basically remote control locomotives that you put in the middle of the train, that helps the train handling. It makes everything a lot easier, but still, the crew on the head end up there in the locomotive, the back of their train can be 2 miles back there behind them. Well, if you have a problem with a train like that, hot bearing, dragging equipment, something gone wrong on a train, and the defect detector picks it up, they got to stop out there, and that conductor has got to walk all the way to the back of that train. Well, that's a long day. That's just a real long day. So that's another reason the crews don't care much for precision scheduled railroads. It's just difficult to move these behemoths in the kind of, plus the other thing that those long trains, the problem that they create is the terminals can't handle them. Well, terminals are almost always in town. I'm talking about, when I said terminals, that's big railroad yards where they bust up trains and make new ones and send them on their way in different directions. That's the kind of the equivalent of a UPS sort warehouse, where the trucks come in and pick up stuff, and they sort them into other trucks and then take them out and deliver them. That's what railroad yards do. When you bring a 2.5 mile long train into those places, and you don't work for them to fit, they hold them out of town and they block crossing.
Yeah, you mentioned that in Waycross too. There's a few in Waycross and over in the Jacksonville area too that they sit over crossings and stuff.
I've seen that too.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 In the bigger towns and the more railroad-oriented towns, you've got a lot of overpasses, a lot of crossings that are eliminated through tunnels and underpasses and things like that. But in a lot of cities, you still got those railroad crossings, those level crossings hanging out there. This blocks traffic, and people they won't put up with it anymore.
Yeah.
All right, it's 7:20. We're going to take our first commercial break right now. When we come back, we'll have more with Danny. And at 7:30, stay tuned for a 5-minute news break as well. We're going to be starting to do that here on the show. We have a 5-minute news break at bottom of the hour as well. So stay tuned for that as well. And we'll be right back with more with Danny Harmon of the Distant Signal YouTube channel. We will be right back. All right.
Hey, you hit it, Danny. You told me to bring home a pie, and I tell you, I brought that pie home. I brought that apple pie home for breakfast, and oh my God, I was the hero. I'll bet. Yeah, I guess that's a big thing around there. I didn't know that. It was out of their minds when I brought that back. I could do no wrong after that.
That's great.
I want to thank you again for breakfast. That was awesome. That was so nice of you to pick it up, and so that was.
It was nice. It was really nice meeting up with you, and just catching up on things. It's really nice. So, thank you for coming out.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. Hopefully, next time I come down, hopefully you'd be rail fanning or checking some stuff out. I'd love to spend some time with you on the tracks. So.
I hope so. We'll try to get out there. Maybe the weather will be a little cooler, and we'll be able to get out there and really track some stuff down.
Do you find as you go up north, even up as far as you go in Georgia, is the weather a little bit better up there? Because, it's not much of an asphalt jungle.
In Atlanta, once you get up into real North Georgia, like Atlanta and north of there, it starts to change a little bit.
Okay.
Like the winters are colder up there.
Yeah.
Than they are here. We don't have any winter here in Central Florida to speak of.
Right.
You get at the Florida state line up there and north of there, it starts to cool off a little bit. But you get in Atlanta and north of there into Tennessee, and of course you get real winters where we got cool stuff. But in the summertime, no. It's weird. The summertime, it's hot everywhere. And it always has been. I mean, Atlanta is just as hot as Tampa, just as hot as New Orleans, just as hot as Charleston, South Carolina, or, those places. It's just hot all the way across.
I got to ride the streetcar, the Tico streetcar.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It gets slow as can be.
Gosh, it's just, I tell everybody, that, I'll just take the streetcar. I'm going from the convention center to Middleboro for lunch. I said, don't make that your lunch hour. So it's going to take you like 40 minutes to get there. I mean, it's a 2.5 or maybe 3 mile run.
Yeah.
Up there. It's slow as all get out. It's just brutally slow. And it's not super comfortable either.
No, I got those.
Streetcars are bumpy, but people like them. You see it. Every time at night, especially when people are out for nightlife activity. A lot of people ride that thing.
I like Ybor City. My nephew.
40 seconds.
My nephew went through there because he's part of. He went to school for what your son went to school for. Mass Maritime, and they went through there, and they all went to Ybor City, and they loved it.
Good.
All right, 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And we are back here on Middleboro in review. I am Joey Driscoll, joined by Dawn this morning, and 5 minutes here before we take our bottom of the hour news break. I want to throw this question out to Danny. Since we last talked to Danny, has there been any news about any new projects going on in the area on the railroads?
Well, I keep up with the Florida stuff primarily. There's always, of course, Brightline. The big push now, since Brightline has made it to Orlando, and they've got service. They've got regular service between the Orlando Airport and Miami. The big push now is to get a Brightline built and into Tampa out of Orlando. And that seems to be getting a little more traction with the money people, the budgeting people in the state and the municipalities. So we're starting to see some movement about that, a lot of talk about it. So, I have no idea how long it's going to take them to do that, because the plan currently is to bring that thing out of the Orlando airport and get it up to Interstate 4 somehow, and then they're going to take it down the median of I-4, which will necessitate it being, I guess, an elevated road, and then they're going to swing it down into downtown Tampa, and I have no idea how they do that stuff, but That's what they're talking about right now.
If you look at the Silver Line that is built in Washington for the Metro, they have that for quite a few miles. The run out to Dulles Airport, and they have the stations like right out there in the medians, meaning the stations are in the medians too. So when you get to the station, you go to the top. You can go one side or the other. So they might be looking at that model. That was a really good model. They built that, and it really flies along. It does, close to 60 miles an hour for a rapid transit. It's pretty good. So one other thing too, as far as any intermediate stations that you know of are going on between Orlando Airport and West Palm Beach.
What's that? Out there. I think they're going to have a stop in Cocoa. I'm going to look at my map here real quick. I believe there's going to be a stop in Cocoa, and there's one other, and it may be Stewart, which is over on the Atlantic side. Have to look here. It's either Stewart or Fort Pierce. I'm pretty sure. And then they'll have a stop at Cocoa before the line turns west and goes to Orlando.
And you rode that. You rode it a few times, obviously. Do you think two?
The full way.
Right. Do you think that two's enough?
Well, I don't know. It depends on what the line is for. It depends on how many trains they're running, of course. I can foresee them adding stations along the line in the smaller cities over there.
Right.
And then, having some trains that stop at all of them, and then having limited trains that only do Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm, then maybe Cocoa, and then Orlando.
Right.
So you don't grind the thing down into a local that's flag stopping at every station along the way.
Right.
So I can foresee that if the thing is successful and if everything goes according to the
Right.
plan.
Hey, we have 30 seconds before he takes the. Are you gonna go with the break too?
Yeah, 7:30. The 7:30 news break. I don't think I'm doing the other break. No, I'm not doing that next break until 7:50.
Okay, so all right.
So we have a news break coming up here in just a second.
Yeah, that's something new. We have a news service, so we have to play the news a certain amount of times.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a little bit new here. So let's take that news break right now. When we come back, we'll have more with Danny. And I did not forget, we will have our weather and our Today in Histories as well, sometime before the end of the show as well. So we'll have that going on. But we are going to take our 7:30 news break right now, and we'll be right back here on Middleboro in review on WBBF 1530 AM 99.7 FM. We'll be right back. Okay.
Yeah, the big issue with that bright line stuff is some of those counties, Ward and maybe Martin, they fought that bright line project vehemently. I mean, they sued them and
Really
fought that whole thing. And now they want a station. So
I don't think they deserve one. When they were putting the Greenbush line in for the MBTA, the commuter rail, there was a town called Hingham that made so much noise that they made the state put a tunnel underneath the. Made the state put a tunnel in underneath the. They said the trains will be too close to the backs or whatever. So the tunnel was a lot of money, and no one rides this. No one rides it. Nobody rides it. They're empty trains. So it's kind of they've run all this heavy equipment on these commuter lines, and they could get away with bud cars. It's just unbelievable. It's just everything's. It's either not enough or full bore. There's no happy medium over here. So, you know.
That's the problem with that stuff. You know, the builders who laid the first rail lines in America, they didn't have this problem with fighting with people because they were building into areas where there were natural resources they were trying to get at.
Right.
Timber and minerals and stuff like that.
Yep.
And now everybody's settling, all the places are settling. And people want these railroads in there for commuter lines or passenger, inner city passenger, and they have dreams of doing that stuff. You just have too many people fighting for stuff. They all love the idea of the trains, but they don't want those trains going by their neighborhood.
No, yeah.
So it's always the same fight.
You know what? You're right. I mean, there's a lot of hypocrisy too. I mean, people believe in the environment, and I do too. I mean, and I'm a firm believer of public transportation, but it's just so broken and antiquated over here that. Yeah, I mean, if 2018, we had a lot of people off the road, and then then they came in with the emission standards where they couldn't run the trains, and then the trains were all breaking down, and then they lost a lot of their riderships because the trains were cold and unpredictable. So in a way, I understand you don't want to idle a train, but that train by idling took thousands and thousands of cars off the roads every day. Now, because that train can't idle, people can't have a warm and reliable train. Now there's 5,000 more cars. So where'd it go?
I think those are dumb rules. Like forcing these cars that will stop running when you pull up to a stoplight.
Right.
And then you got to crank them again. Once you push down on the accelerator, you go. How much in carbon emissions does that really save, versus the inconvenience it costs? What's the wear and tear on an engine? It just
I mean, you got to start it up. Right.
They just want to do stuff.
Right.
Some people feel good, and just
but it is overkill, and people don't realize it's kind of doesn't make sense. I mean, it's just the same with when they do road diets on some of these roads to get people from not driving. But well, the emissions is even worse. So all they got to do is, I think a lot of is just reconfigure these roads with paint and really think it through and keep things moving. But they don't like keeping anything moving. So.
I just think it's people have been ordered to come up with a solution, but no practical ways of doing it, so they just do the first thing they can think of.
Yeah, but it blows up and it's 50 times worse for the environment.
Yeah, usually that is.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. I hear you. Now they I'll talk to you a little bit when we get on the air, but they you just get your input on commuter rails and how they run and stuff like that. We've had another delay here on the South Coast Rail. It was supposed to open in August, and now it's not open until May. So
May of 2025.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, that's supposed to be the last major build. I mean, there's 3 cities been waiting for a commuter rail: Taunton, New Bedford, and Fall River forever, since 1960.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, when I knew with CSX, he was in the network planning division, and he said building railroad line now is just a gargantuan undertaking because of all of the regulations.
30 seconds.
Environmental regulations are
30 seconds.
Yeah. We got
everything just takes so long.
15 seconds, Danny.
Okay.
15 seconds. Mm-hmm. 3, 2, 1, 0. And we are back here on Middleboro in Review. I am Joey Driscoll, joined by Don, as always. And before we continue our interview with Danny from Distant Signals YouTube channel, let's do our weather and today's histories real fast. I want to kind of rocket through these. We have our weather first. Middleboro, cloudy right now, 73 degrees. Rain in the forecast today. I don't know if it rained earlier, so I'm not sure if it's going to rain again later on, but there is rain in the forecast today, so I would keep an eye on the skies if you're going out for a walk today. But it's going to be a beautiful day. Well, temperature-wise, a beautiful day to do so, but just keep an eye on the skies when it comes to the weather. Monday, 77 degrees, rain in the forecast once again, but right now it's cloudy, so no rain right now. 73 degrees in Taunton, 83 for the high today with some rain and some thunderstorms here in Taunton, which that's interesting. It's a little different from the Middleboro weather. But 77 degrees tomorrow with rain in the forecast. Driscoll, North Dakota, it is 47 right now with a high of 70 today and sunny skies. Tomorrow, rain and thunderstorms in the forecast with a high of 70. And in Driscoll, Texas, 96 degrees for the high today. Currently it is 80. Sunny skies right now as well. 98 on Monday and 100 on Tuesday in Driscoll, Texas. And our today in histories.
Driscoll, North Dakota?
Driscoll, North Dakota and Driscoll, Texas. Yes, I said that, yes.
Oh, really? I didn't hear Driscoll, North Dakota, because I wasn't paying attention.
You weren't.
Yeah, like 36 there or something in Driscoll, North Dakota today. That's nuts.
Yeah, currently it's 46.
I guess Danny was paying attention.
Yeah, it's right now. It's pretty cold right now, but it'll warm up a little bit.
You want to shovel some snow? Go there in about a month and a half, Danny, and you'll get your wish.
Oh, my gosh. 36 degrees. It's almost July 4th. Crazy.
All right. Well, our student histories. I'll go through these real quick. Rocket through these. 1906, the United States Congress passes the Meat Inspection Act and Pure Food and Drug Act. That became a big deal after a book by Upton St. Clair was published, The Jungle, which was a very, very big book at the time, very important book, and it leads to this, the Meat Inspection Act and the Pure Food and Drug Act. 1921, U.S. President Warren G. Harding appoints former President William Howard Taft as Chief Justice of the United States, and a lot of historians say that he did a very, very good job as Chief Justice of the United States, Don.
Yeah, that doesn't happen too much.
Yeah, it doesn't only happened once.
Well, no, when you got John Quincy Adams, who was a representative later on after his presidency.
Yeah. Yes.
He did better.
Yeah. 1934, the Night of the Long Knives, Adolf Hitler's violent purge of his political rivals in Germany takes place. A very dark day in German history. On this day in 1934. 1937, the world's first emergency telephone number, 999, is introduced in London. 1953, the first Chevy Corvette rolls off the assembly line in Flint, Michigan. In 2019, about 5 years ago today, Donald Trump becomes the first sitting U.S. president to visit the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, North Korea. Very important meeting between Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump took place. And then there was a summit not too long after that, which was a very important thing to take place there as well. Our birthdays. we will, we'll get to our birthdays here towards the end of the show. We have a couple, but there's a little bit to them, so we'll get to that at the end of the show today. But there's your Today in Histories, at least there.
Joey loves his Today in History, and he does such a good job on them.
He does a great job.
Yeah, I think not many people do that, and I think history is very important to be back, to teach to the students, to the classes, the future, and same with civics and geography. It's very
History is so important. If you don't know your history, it's going to come back again, and you're going to get the same, make the same mistakes over.
It seemed like it has with the headlines, mostly in April. A lot of people don't realize, they don't read up on it, and it's just like somebody comes in and gets in your face about something, but none of them do their homework. You could pick up your phone and Google it, but there's something to be said if you don't have to pick up your phone and Google something. You know what I mean? Like you kind of know it off the top of your head. So that's
people are the same from generation to generation. So everybody's going to be on watch for what happened in history, because that's the only way you learn.
Right.
It's the only way you progress. Is you learn from the mistakes that our predecessors made. You don't do them again, and
yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of history, we're trying to make history down here on the South Coast by the South Coast Rail. It was supposed to open in August. It was supposed to open last December. Now they're saying May. Joey, what do you think about all these delays? I mean, it's just they've been working on this project 5-6 years now.
Yes. And
it doesn't seem like they want to give the public a straightforward answer. Seems like they always have excuses. It's always, it's just like the guy didn't bring his pencil to the test. That's what it seems like to me. What do you think?
Yeah, it's very difficult because you're supposed to have a deadline, December 2023. It was looking like that was probably going to be the case, but then COVID happened. That was part of it. But then they delayed it again, and then they delayed it again. I don't know what to think about this project. There's been a lot of delays and a lot of missed deadlines. I think if you know you're not going to reach the deadline that you've set for yourself, I wouldn't have set that deadline. So
no.
I mean, the first deadline I get completely. The December 2023 deadline. That's why they missed that. I get that completely. Part of it was because of COVID. Okay, that was part of it. And then there was some other factors too. I mean, the testing of the trains takes a while. But right. The other two deadlines, I don't get. I really don't. And this kind of doesn't bode well for other projects as well when it comes to getting them done quickly. There are so many other projects that are, in the pipeline. We have Amtrak's Connect Us map, which is showing a lot of great projects that in the future are going to be done. And some of these examples, like the delays on South Coast Rail, that doesn't bode well for some of these projects.
What's your take on this, Danny, as far as municipalities lying to the people are taking routes away? Like, I mean, you got a route down in Florida, which they refused to put back up. That's the Sunset Limited. That was a beautiful coast to coast. What's your thoughts, Dan?
Well, it's a beautiful coast to coast, but it had all kinds of problems from the get-go. Just because, I think there were on 3 different railroads, or 2 between Jacksonville and Los Angeles. Might have been just 2. Might have been the CSX on one side of Mississippi, then UP on the other. But in any case, that train was just murdered by problems its whole way. In the first place, they were not treated very nicely by the freight railroads. The freight railroads didn't want them out there, so the dispatchers were not overly kind to that train. And I rode it a few times between Jacksonville and Pensacola, and every single time we would sit in the siding for trains that were 2 hours away, and just mounting up the delays on them. It was just not unusual at all for that train to roll into Pensacola, for the westbound train to roll into Pensacola 5 hours late, and the eastbound to come in 9 hours late. So you had that.
You think that was by design?
Who knows what's true? I think when you plunk a passenger train out on a freight rail they've already got their business working, and they haven't been cut into the discussions enough to say, here's what we can do and here's what we can't do, and can we please hit these towns on time? Maybe these other, and maybe not hit the others. I'm not a service design guy, but I just think running railroads today, where you've got more than one administrative body in charge, is a real struggle. And that's why I cut Amtrak slack, because they are like a house guest everywhere they go, except on the Northeast Corridor. I mean, you got to ask permission for everything you do on Amtrak, so you're running on somebody else's road, and that's just a real. It's not a great way to operate a business. On the Northeast Corridor, they're masters of their own domain up there, so they get it done, and I understand that they're pretty much on time most of the time when they're on those trains that they run. The Northeast Direct service and the Acela service is pretty well a dependable road, but that's on their own steel. And when you're on somebody else's iron, you're kind of at their mercy, and so I don't know.
Yeah,
that's how I feel about that. Now, as far as construction projects go, that's a whole different set of problems, because a municipal construction project. I mean, who is this that you're talking about that was building this road that's so delayed?
Well, it's the MBTA and the construction company who's doing it. It's just I guess they're waiting on elevators now for the Taunton station. I don't know. It's like going to your favorite restaurant and you're out of your favorite ice cream place and you're out of chocolate. I don't know. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? It's just too convenient. But no, it's just a construction company that's been working on this, and it's just slow. It's just painfully slow. And
I guess the testing of the trains takes a little bit as well, and that did not start until the 17th of this month.
No, they're running them. Actually, anybody listening in this area, in the Taunton area, they are running them.
They are running
those
yes.
test trains, so watch it. Be careful. They are active. Plus, freight. But I mean, now we got to go another winter, and this whole community doesn't have rail. I mean, it's just.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's just.
And where do the people in Taunton and Middleboro, where do the majority of those folks work? Are they work in town, or they work, out of town? Is there going to be a lot of commuters on this railroad?
Yeah, there was in Middleboro. I mean, right now.
Yes, there's a lot in Middleboro.
Yeah, it terminates in Middleboro Lakeville right now. That's where the station terminates now, and the new station is eighth of a mile. But it's on another junction, so they had to build this. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of weird how they did this. But to answer your question, Danny, yes, most of the people work in Boston. A lot of people work in Rhode Island too, but there's going to be no Fall River. That's where it's going to terminate. That'd be closest to Providence, but there's going to be no through trains to Providence. Yeah. So I mean, you can't. If you want to go to Providence, you still have to go to Boston and then go in.
It's not just Boston, too. I mean, a lot of people stop at Quincy, and a lot of people stop at Braintree as well.
Right, and Brockton, too.
And Brockton.
But it's mostly...
Well, a lot of people are getting on in Brockton.
Right. So,
but, it's Braintree, Quincy, and Boston.
Yeah.
Now they have 5 new stations. They got East Taunton, and then as you head south, they have Marvick's Junction where the trains split. And the New Bedfords go down That train goes down Church Street and then New Bedford, and then you have Freetown and Fall River. So I mean, it's really something that it's a beautiful system, but you know, can we have it? Can you make it work? I mean, it's been so long, and looking forward to riding it, and we're going to see what happens with as far as the 3 cities that it's going to be servicing. And it really depends on how they do the schedule. They can build something brand new, and they can louse up the schedule, and it's useless.
It's
I know.
It's 7:52. We're gonna take our last commercial break right now. When we come back, we're gonna finish with Danny, and then our Today in History's birthdays and passings as well. Not Today in History's, we already did those. Our birthdays and passings was coming up as well, so stay tuned for that. A lot of interesting birthdays today. If you're an opera fan, and also if you're a certain fast food fan, certain restaurant, a certain fast food restaurant fan as well. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back here on Middleboro Review on 1530 AM, 99.7 FM.
This extra news kind of throws
us off a little.
Throws us off a little
Yeah.
bit, but we got to do a
We
certain
gotta do
amount
it,
of
though.
news. So they used to have USA News, but they dropped it like overnight.
Yeah, it was literally overnight. Like they went under.
It was gone.
Yeah, they went under overnight.
Yeah. We had them for years, you know. So
Well, it's tough for those small news networks to make any money nowadays. Used to in the old days, you had the big three: CBS and ABC and NBC, and that pretty much carried it. I mean, ABC was incredible in the old days. They had like 5 different news networks, depending on what your format was.
right.
Then there was Mutual, and I know the USA had was that the Gannett service? Do you know the USA Today newspaper?
Yes,
I believe so.
I think-
Yeah,
I
a
think
lot of it's Gannett
yeah,
now.
Yeah, I heard they're hurting too. They're
What do you have now for news?
Our news network here on the station is Salem Radio News, Salem Radio Network.
Are you a Salem station?
We are not technically. Well, no, with our news service, I don't know if we are now, but no, we're not.
Who owns the station?
No, we Senator Mark Pacheco.
Oh, he's privately owned. Okay.
Yeah, privately owned by a state senator. Very important state senator here in the state.
That's great.
yeah. We Joey's gets a lot. You know, with him, he knows a lot of people, and Joey's gotten a lot of good interviews with state reps and board of selectmen and stuff like that. So we kind of keep the roles pretty. We've been pretty good about getting guests.
Yes, yeah,
I'm sure.
Next, so.
yeah. We've been doing good this year with the guests. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Right.
We're coming back here in just a moment. Okay, and then I'll fly through the birthdays, passings, and we'll come back, finish off the interview today. All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and 0. And we are back. They turn the music down. There we go. There we go. And put this back up. There we go. Turn it down a little bit. There's a little bit of a
Ding-a-ling,
feedback.
Ding-a-ling, ding-ding, huh?
Yeah, a little bit of feedback. All right, we'll work on that here. There we go. All right, our passings and our birthdays here. Fly through these. 1685, John Gay, best remembered for the Beggar's Opera, a ballad opera including the character Captain Macbeth. The Three Penny Opera was adapted from this, and that was a German play by Bertolt Brecht, and that was back in the 20s, I think it was, or teens. that was done as well. Music was composed by Kurt Weill, and he composed the Ballad of Mac the Knife, which became a popular, major song here in the States. It was recorded by Louis Armstrong, recorded by Bobby Darin, recorded by Ella Fitzgerald, and I'm sure there's many, many more artists that have covered this song. But the most popular one is Bobby Darin's cover of the song. And then in the 80s, during the late 80s, Mac Tonight was born, a fictional character who was used in the marketing for McDonald's restaurants during the late 80s. Known for his crescent moon head, sunglasses, and piano playing, the character used the song, used in a very loose term, Mac the Knife. It sounded similar. It sounded very similar. But, that ended up being an issue because Bobby Darin's son did sue McDonald's because of that, and McDonald's didn't fight it, and Mac Tonight kind of died after that. He was brought back a little bit in the 90s. I think he had a couple of appearances in the 2010s in South America markets. But, the actor who was in that costume, the Mac Tonight costume, was Doug Jones. And he became a pretty big actor because he won a Grammy for The Shape of Water, I believe the movie is called. And that came out a couple of years ago.
Have you ever listened to the lyrics of Mac the Knife?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I have.
Song for how popular that was. That was insanely popular when Bobby Darin released it.
There was a German.
What song is about?
There was a German version that was done in German. That was the original.
That was the original version, yes.
Or something.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
song is about a serial killer.
Yep. And
Yeah, it was recorded in the 50s.
And they make it so nice. You know?
Yeah, they do.
In the river there.
Yeah.
What's the happy part of this?
Yeah.
All right, 1933. Cookie, an Australian cockadoo. Australian Major Mitchell's particular parrot. He was the oldest recorded parrot as well. Died at the age of 82 in June of 2015. 1957, Sterling Marlin, American race car driver. 1959, Vincent D'Onofrio, Pirate Pile, right? Right, Don?
Oh, Private Pile? Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's awesome.
In the Full Metal Jacket.
There's a movie called To Kill an Irishman. You ever see that movie with Ray Stevens?
Yes. Very good.
Oh, check that out. That movie's awesome.
And our one passing today is we have 1966 Giuseppe Farina, Italian race car driver. He was the first official Formula One world champion in 1950. All right, Danny, we've got about 30 seconds here. How can people get in contact with you?
Well, you can watch my YouTube channel, which I hope you'll do. That's at youtube.com/distantsignal. I also, you can reach me on Facebook at Railfan Danny, and you can join my page there. That's really the best way to see me. But I hope people will do that. youtube.com/distantsignal.
Hey, Danny, how many videos do you think you have?
I don't know. Somebody asked me that the other day, and I told them I didn't know. I think it's over 200, but I'm not sure. It's a bunch.
Well, we want to thank you so much, Danny, for calling in today. And we'll be talking with you again, of course,
awesome.
Very soon.
Yep.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. Bye-bye. No, don't hang up yet, but we are going to be saying goodbye here. and we'll be back next week with another edition of Middleboro Review. Bye-bye, everybody.
That's awesome.
Okay, hold on, we'll be all set in a second. Let me just kind of just get things going here. And then...
Danny, is it okay if I call you? Sure. All right, give me like 30 seconds. I'll give you a call on your cell.
No, it's fine. I gotta go get some more coffee anyway.
All right. I'll give you a minute. Okay. All right, thanks, Danny.
Okay.
DD, Middleboro Center, 99.7 FM, your hometown radio station.
Come on, really? What's it doing that for? Jeez. Alright, there we go. Download. Okay.
News this hour.
Bye, everybody.